So today I am going to show you how to make a beautiful little tree. So for today's video I am going to give you the measurements and what I'm going to do. This pattern is really versatile, so you can scale it up, you can scale it down, you can get creative with it, you can use chunky yarn, you can use thinner yarn, so it's all how you want to interpret the design basically. So what I'm going to start with is I have 2 strands of DK and I'm going to be using them together and with a size 6mm hook. This is a small miniature tree and this is the tree that I'm doing today for the tutorial. And the dimensions are 19.5 centimeters high and 7 centimeters in diameter. I just got this off Amazon. I'm sure you can get them in your local craft store. This actual one here, I created with cardboard. I think it was a Rice Krispie box I used. So yeah, you can see that it has each little ruffles. Really simple, suitable for beginners. So let's get started. Okay, so how we're going to start is we're going to create our slip knot, and you can do that whatever way you feel comfortable because there's so many ways to create a slip knot. And from here we are going to chain on anywhere between 180 to 200. And how we chain is we yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I will see you back here when I'm going to be chaining 200. So I have 200 chains and I will show you how we are going to start crocheting into the chains. So this pattern does change. It is very versatile, so you can change it how you feel fit. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working into the second chain space from the hook. So this is the first and this is the second, and we are going to be slip stitching in here, chaining 3 and slip stitching back in here, and we're going to repeat this for the top part. So what we're wanting to do is the tree to come out like so. So this top part we're going to be chaining 3, this part we will be chaining 4, this part we will be chaining 5, I would say to about there, and then the rest of the pattern is going to be 6 chains, but that will make more sense as we go ahead. So let's start. So we slip stitch into our second chain from the hook like so, and we chain 3 and we are going to slip stitch back into that chain again to close that off. Okay, next one we are going to do the exact same. We are going to slip stitch into the next chain space. We're going to chain 3 and we are going to come back down into that same chain space and slip stitch. Now you can use stitch markers if you prefer. I don't, I just wing it to tell you the truth. You can measure it all out very precisely if you're that type of person, and you can go to here, you're going to chain to the 3 and then from there downwards you're going to chain to the 4, then you're going to chain to the 5, and then the remainder you're going to chain 6. It's however you want to go ahead with this. So I am going to do this for about 15 to 20 stitches, so I'll meet you back here once I get that done. Okay, so I'm just doing into the 20th stitch now, slip stitching in, chaining 3 and slip stitching back into that, and this is how your work should be looking now. So it is going to twist, that is fine. and it's like little buds. So this is for the tip of my Christmas tree. In the next 40 to, I would say, yeah, the next 40, I am going to be increasing. And how we increase is, instead of chaining the 3, we're going to be chaining 4. So we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through and pull right through, chain 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to be slip stitching back down into that same chain space, and we're going to go again, slip stitch into the next stitch, pull it right through, chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going back down into that chain space. And we are going to continue this till we have about 40 to 50 of these done. Okay, and I will meet you back here when I'm on my last one. Welcome back. Okay, so while I was off camera, I did actually put in markers. I thought it would be handy to show for the tutorial of the video. So you can see here is where I done the 3, and this is my 4 chain, and you can see it's just that little bit bigger. And I am coming up into my marker here now for the 4, and then once we pass this marker in the next stitch, we're going to be doing 5. So this is still 4, so we slip stitch in 1, 2, 3 and 4, and slip stitch back down into that same chain space. We slip stitch in here 1, 2, 3, 4, and back down into that chain space. So we've hit the marker, and that signifies that I am going to now create 5 from this point onwards. And how we do that is, it's just an increase in the chaining. So we slip stitch in, and instead of 4, we're increasing now to 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and whoops, 5, and back down into that chain space. So I am going to continue to chain 5, slip stitch, chain 5, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch, and work this pattern the whole way, which is another 40 by the way, to this stitch marker. And then from this stitch marker on, I am going to be continuing the rest of the pattern with 6. So I will meet you on the very last stitch. And this is what your work should be looking like. I did briefly show you this before. So this is what it should look like once you have completed. And you have went into the very last stitch there and tied off. You can now go ahead and remove the stitch markers. That's if you use them. I normally don't use stitch markers, but for the purpose of this video, I thought it would be good to show what it looks like and how you can use them. And it is easier if you just want to sit and crochet away and not have to, you know, count where you've been, especially in a project like this. Yeah, that is it. Okay, so you get your polystyrene tree. You can use a glue gun, but a hot glue gun and polystyrene, I would assume it would melt and be very sticky and tacky and just not great all round. So I do recommend glue dots. They're handy, they're convenient, you can place them about it, you can place them down one side, you can do it down both sides. I'm going to do it down both sides, and that will just keep it nice and secure in place. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if we need to add more at the base, we can. I am going to add it down the other side as well. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I think it would keep it more in place. One, 2, 3, 4. I keep this here, and if I need to add more, that's enough for this side. I can add more. So just make sure the glue dots are flat. You can see here, 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 and here, and the same this side. Okay, so now we are ready to wrap our Christmas tree. So it will be all curled up like so, and just unravel that so that you've got your straight line. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around this way. And we will start at actually, do you know what? I'm going to add a glue dot to the top so that it holds that tip bit in place a little bit better for us. So we start like so. That is now attached. Make sure and use the bottom of it to twist while you're going around. We'll fix that bit there and just keep twisting. Like so. Make sure pulling it nice and tight so that it is nice and secure. And take your time with this. I am going to continue off camera. You can see what I'm doing here. And I will come back. So make sure and keep it round this way. It's starting to twist again. So you just make sure you unravel that and continue going. And then I will come back and show you how I get on. Coming back on to show you I'm midway, so I'm going to flip it up. And you can see it's starting to take shape now. And I think if you flip it upside down, all the ruffles will start to go out the way. And you can see clearly where you're placing it. So perhaps do it upside down. I know I find it a little bit easier. Getting started is tricky. And make sure you are pulling it nice and tightly as well. And take your time with this because the finishing really can make such a difference. So I'll flip it up here. So see, it's not, well, this is, I haven't finished it off right, but make sure it is nice and tight. You don't want it coming out, you want everything nice and uniformed. And you can start to see, I'm going to keep this bit, so this is why I've kept that wee bit like that. I'm going to be able to stick that up like so. And I might actually make like a wee star or something to go on the top of that. But you can start to see it forming now, like a proper tree. And with the two DKs put together, to the two pieces of yarn put together, just creates that little bit more rustic effect. I will, I'm going to do a couple of different ones because I've got a couple of different style of yarns, and I'm going to make a few different sets of the trees to see how they all turn out. But I'm very pleased with how this pattern is turning out. And again, you can ruffle everything up. You could get a little fine piece of tinsel, you could get wee fairy lights. There is so much you can do. Now, the pattern that I have made, I said to chain 150 to 200. This is 200, and you can see it's not going to go the whole way down, but I don't want it to go the whole way down. I want to essentially cut part of this away and make it into like a tree trunk. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap, I have this style of yarn around it to make it look like a tree base. So we will keep going until this gets down. I will stop the video again. I will finish this here to the end and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, that's all finished. I have wrapped it up. I have added a little glue dot here. I've cut it off, and I also cut the base. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a brown yarn to represent the tree trunk, and I am going to use this brown yarn to wrap around the base. I'm going to use a little bit more glue dots to keep it secure, and I will show you how we get started. So always unravel your yarn. Make sure you have a good bit of working yarn sitting out, that you're not all fingers and thumbs whenever you're trying to pull more yarn out. So like I said, I'm just placing more glue dots randomly around. Don't have to be uniformed at all. It does help if you turn it upside down and, you know, push all the segments out. It does help whenever you place a glue dot down and give it a wee bit of a rub. It just makes it adhere to whatever you're sticking it to, so that you can pull it back a lot easier. So I'm happy with the glue dot placement. I'm going to make sure all my ruffles are the right way. And then all I'm going to do is get this, tuck it in well underneath that, and start wrapping it around. Let's see. There we go. Now you could also crochet something. I find in crocheting something is not going to have the same effect as it could be hard to increase and decrease to the size of the base. So that's why I think just finishing it like this is so much easier. Like so. And you just keep wrapping it around. I'm going to pause the video here and meet you back whenever I am near completion. And we now have the finished product. A tall tree and a baby tree. I really do prefer using the yarn than to the rope method. I think the deeper, darker yarn just works that wee bit better. And I do prefer using the polystyrene cones rather than making your own cones. So yeah, I am going to look for the little battery powered LEDs, maybe do some tinsel, maybe do some little French knots with yarn and create little tiny baubles and decorate my Christmas trees. So I want you all to be creative. I want you all to decorate your Christmas trees, whether you prefer the rusty look or the decorated look. I would love to see them. So if you're sharing on social media, make sure and tag me, the Crafty Sew & Co, so I can get to look at all your lovely masterpieces.